If you work in human resources, you know the impact that workplace conflict can have on team dynamics and productivity. Conflict coaching is a process that you can use to help employees sort things out. Today I'm talking to people skills expert Eleanor Shakiba, and she's going to share with us the tools that you can use to get better results from conflict coaching sessions. So Eleanor, what is conflict coaching?
It's a process where an HR practitioner takes a staff member through a structured conversation, and it's done one-on-one, and it's designed to help the staff member to assess their part in a conflict and to work out what they want to do to try and resolve the situation.
Okay, fantastic. So what are the steps involved?
So the first step is to help the staff member assess what's going on, which is easy for the HR practitioner to do. But from the staff member's perspective, it's a confusing situation. They're probably upset or angry, and so they may not be thinking straight. So what the HR practitioner's job is to do is to help the staff member be neutral and objective about the situation.
Okay, fantastic. So they've assessed the situation, so what's next after that?
So what they need to do next is usually deal with their feelings, because emotions and conflict go together. So this is where the HR practitioner really needs to help empathise with the person's position without condoning it, and to try and get the person to work through the emotions so they can leave them behind and start to think in a more logical way about sorting the situation out.
Okay, so that's acknowledging their feelings and their impact, and so we've got to that stage. What's next after that?
So next it's to be creative and logical at the same time, and say what options are available for sorting this out. How can you work with the other person? What would you like as the end result of this situation? And how can you take action to try and sort out the situation in a collaborative and a professional way? So it's about idea generation.
Okay, fantastic. And you work one-on-one with the person to come up with those ideas?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, great. And anything else then?
And what you're doing at that stage is getting the person to think past the black and white thinking. Okay. So what they'll often do is already have some suggestions and ideas in their mind and some preferred options, and what you're trying to do at that stage is get them to think of new options, things they haven't thought of yet. So you're needing to shift them outside of their normal thinking patterns.
One of the challenges that HR practitioners face when dealing with conflict are the intense or angry feelings from staff. What are your tips on dealing with that?
So I think one of the most important things to do is to use your active listening skills, which I'm sure most experienced HR practitioners would be very familiar with. But what's really important here is that you are recognising and acknowledging the depth of feeling without suggesting that it's right or justified. So you're allowing the staff member to have a safe space to work through their emotions, but you're not creating more antagonistic feelings, and you're not escalating the situation by going, yeah, you must be really angry, and inflaming the situation.
Okay, that's great. And so how do you actually shift stuck mindsets then so that people can really start to create, to kind of solve problems creatively?
Well, I think the most important thing to do is think about reframing. Instead of seeing things the way that you've always seen them, how can you actually start to shift your perspective? So instead of seeing it as being a problem that you've got a micromanaging colleague, how can you see that as something that is an opportunity or a good habit? So a micromanaging person is actually someone who really cares about quality. So how can you start to shift the perspective of the staff member and the ideas they have about the other person and the situation? So reframing is really important.
So would you work with that employee and kind of coach them through that, and actually perhaps role play and that kind of thing in that situation?
Yes, so sometimes we'll do that. Sometimes it's just a matter of throwing in a different interpretation of what the other person is thinking. Sometimes it's a matter of asking them a question. How could this be a good thing? Or has there ever been a time when this person didn't annoy you? Right. So what you're doing is you're asking questions that cause the other person to rethink their reality. And if you're interested in that particular skill, there's actually an animated video on my website which shows you how to go about using 6 techniques for reframing.
Fantastic. So we can go to your website and find the video there. And any other resources?
Yes. So the other really major resource is the solution-focused questioning. So that is about helping people people to stop looking at the past and doing what I call blaming and shaming. Who's to blame for this and who can I cause to feel grief about this? And saying, let's leave the past behind. What can we do to sort things out and move forward productively together? And once again, there's an animated video on my website that you can look at that will teach you the micro skills of being able to do that solution-focused approach.
Thanks so much, Eleanor. It's great to get some practical tips on how to use conflict coaching techniques. Now, I'm really looking forward to meeting up with you next month. What are we going to be talking about?
So next month we're going to be looking at how HR practitioners can use conflict coaching to help employees change their behaviours during workplace conflict.